why the fuck not, right? Why the fuck not? A lot of the times I don't even know how to start this shit. I don't even know how to begin to describe to you some of the fucking things that my mind hooks through and weaves itself in. I don't even know. I have no goddamn clue. But I do know one thing. As I was laying there, I was listening to some music. I was relaxing, thinking about making this video, not wanting to do it, as usual. And then I thought, I'm just gonna relax on the kizouch, which is slang for couch. And I laid there, and then the little kitty, she laid right next to me, as she always does. And I was listening to music on the headphones. Now, I listened to a few songs, I don't need to go into what they are. But as I was like, man, it kind of dawned on me that transcendence of sound is transcendence of culture, and from base culture is base sound. And when we branch out from it, we kind of explore it. So like, genres of music can represent cultures of people in a way that we can truly understand it. I think it helps us understand how culture works, music. Because we can see, and I just was imagining it like this, as the earth stood out before me, and I just was moving around from lands, and I was listening to a song that was like a collage of this one artist, and it was artistically done very well. And it was melting from one song to the next over the span of this guy's career. And I was just like, I could sense that I was kind of going from place to place, and how do they interpret the sound? How do they interpret feeling? Music is a huge way of interpreting self and interpreting the world around us. It's rather interesting like that. And I just kind of realized that within myself, deep down, I'm a musician, even though I don't like to admit that. And I always had a problem with trying to find sound. Back in my playing days, that is. I didn't know what I was. So it was rather hard for me to try to find my sound in the band. So I was in a band for a little bit. And we'd write music together, and I tried to explain it, but I didn't know how to at the time. And now I have the words. Where then I just thought I wasn't good. But now I realize I didn't know who I was, so how do I play? How do I play music? Because I don't, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't able to open the door and let out just whatever. And that was difficult for me. Even as just a bass player. I ended up having to just serve the song, which is kind of the role of the bass. But at the time, I didn't really know a lot of this stuff. And as I've been kind of getting on with it and going through life, the more I realize, like, okay, maybe we are slowly coming to terms with self. You know, the songs I've written of late are very interesting in the fact that I'm finally just allowing myself to be me. Something I haven't done in a while, something I've always been nervous to do. The intro to the last video that I made, I don't remember what it was called.
I have a problem with
But I do those little phony conversations with the fake character guy, right? And I'm just like, you know what? That's me. You know, I don't talk to myself that way, but I make jokes of like characters. I'm always making characters in my head and have them interact and stuff. Just because I do a lot of writing. It's just what I do. And sometimes I like to do jokey ones, and the ones that are just ridiculous. Just absolutely absurd. And I thought to myself, why the fuck not just allow that be a part of this? Why don't I just be truly myself instead of guarding and trying to act the most normal I possibly fucking can? Because in the beginning of these videos, I was trying so fucking hard to be normal and concise and yes, you know, and I will kind of, I can't do that. That's just not who I am. I'm not that guy. And it took me a long time to finally figure that out. Where being comfortable with who I am. And that, you know, the eccentric things that I may do, or the humor that I may have, or what have you, I don't know. And just becoming someone that is not trying to be phony. Because that's like, that's what that bit is. That fucking, a little bit of that bit is like me telling myself, like, don't be fucking phony. Like, you are, and you're a piece of shit. You know, because it's kind of stupid. No one thinks that. I know that. But the point of him, the character, saying everyone is the things that ride within the mind. All the different personality types and emotions and whatever you want to call how your mind works. But the point is, it's like there's so many different people that are inside of you. You could call it. I don't really necessarily think of it that way. I shouldn't word it like that. There's so many different types of yourself inside of you, you know, that have different viewpoints which they express themselves through. Which that most of the time it's emotions that guide them, but other times it's just merely different aspects of self. The most best example I can give you is like when you hang out with different people, you kind of are a different person, you know, like you fit whatever that mold is that's in that dynamic, whether it's your family, your friends, or work. You're a different person, right? You kind of, you act differently. And then that's because it's not as simple as, and that's just me choosing, like, no, those are different types of you that you've catered for whatever the surroundings are. Then there's the real you that you are by yourself. We're gonna sit here and fucking pretend like it's like weird to think you have different personalities inside of you. You know, we have people that have multiple personality disorders. That's what that is. That's like, no, we all fucking have it. So you are different at work than you are at home. You're different with your spouse than you are with your fucking mother. You know, there's a different dynamic there. And the same goes for the way of expression. And each emotion kind of works that way too. So for instance, if people are afraid to realize that you have a bunch of different things inside of you, here's another easy one. When you just channel anger and rage and you filter that through your lens, you're fucking upset, your speech patterns are different, your thought processes are different, you kind of get a blind rage if you're one of those people, like you're a different fucking person. And that's kind of what I'm quietly introducing into these videos, and I gotta figure out the best way to do it, but I wanna kind of explore different characters and show just how people work and what we do when we talk to ourselves and stuff. I end up going negative a lot because it's funny when I do it with myself, but you know, maybe outwardly I will try not to be so negative. That's just absurd. Just imagine someone treating you like shit like that, and telling you you're a piece of shit. And you're just like, what are you talking about? I like it because, like, that character, I always think of it, the guy sitting down as work me. Like, that's how I act at work. I'm very, like, you know. And then the real me is the dude in the doorway with the yellow shirt on. That's just like, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? Like, you're a piece of shit, and everybody knows that. All of us. But yeah, so that's kind of a lot of the stuff that I've been thinking about of late. I don't know if any of that was coherent, but it all started from sensation of, you know, what music does, and I kind of explored the idea that, you know, as I'm becoming more comfortable with music, I'm becoming more comfortable with the sounds that I make because that mirrors my personality. And in saying all that, just finding a sense of being okay is very difficult. Because generally people seemingly will judge you. I don't know if it's just how we read the messages, because sometimes I wonder if the people typing certain messages, like in the comment section, are trying to come off negatively, or if it's just you read it wrong. Because it seems like it always divulges into people trying to outdo each other, or people trying to outsmart each other, or like, that wasn't as good as what I do, you know. I don't know if, like, that's autistic people trying to communicate, not very good at it, or if people are really that, like, insecure about themselves, so they gotta jump on someone else's stuff and be weird about it. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But I notice whenever someone's slightly themselves, I've never really experienced it too much, but when people are slightly themselves, especially like in a comment section on YouTube, that's where all the weird shit comes out, where people are trying to one-up each other and be weird about it. Luckily I don't have that, but hopefully never, but it probably will come soon. I just find it to be very odd that we do that when someone's truly themselves, or they express something of self, which is weird, right? Imagine like having a realization of self, about yourself, like, and somebody comes across and gives you grief for it, you know, gives you shit for it, and you're like, what the fuck are you, who are you? What the fuck's your game here, man? So I can understand why people would feel insecure about being themselves, especially like on a YouTube channel. You know, it's hard, right? But I've tried to make it my goal to be as normal as I can here, normal as self. And that might mean a little bit of weirdness. And I think that's okay, because I think that the whole fucking point of doing anything is to do it yourself and to do it your way. Because how on earth can you interpret what's going on if you didn't do it? You know? If you just have a book and someone says, this information's inside of it that you need, whatever it may be, and you go, all right, I don't need to anymore. How the fuck are you supposed to interpret it? You have to get in there yourself and discern what you think. And if you find some of the things that you think are either irrational or don't make any sense to most people, well, then you got to go and, well, let's look that up. Let's look up why I feel that way, and let's go down these rabbit holes and the journey of self, which is super crucial. And I try to make it the most obvious reason that these videos exist is you're watching some fucking idiot explore their own thoughts and mind and emotions and, you know, all that stuff. And I don't filter it and I don't hide negative thoughts. I'm gonna let you hear it, man. Like, what's the fucking point of pretending? You know what I mean? Because, like I was saying in the last video, no one knows anything, even though everyone thinks they know something. And as I get older, the less I know, and the less I'm comfortable with, and the less I feel like I can grasp some days. I don't even know how I feel half the time, you know? Because it can be that difficult. So, you know, you do this fucking mantra shit, you're trying to explore your mind, and then some days it goes right away and you have to restart, you know? It's not necessarily an easy journey, I don't think. And if you have a feeling about, I don't know, some sort of thing, some sort of material thing, if you feel some way about it, half the time you don't even know why you do. And you might think you do, but at the end of the day, it's like, what can you really say? It's hard, man. It really is. It's difficult to know anything in this world. I just try my best to try, but it doesn't make it an easy thing. Like, when you look at everything going on around you, you know, let's say you participate in the world in some way, shape, or form, and you have opinions about politics. Why? What are you doing? Is the way you think, is the way that you believe something is to be, have any detrimental effect on the grand scale of international global politics? Oh, but I voted. Because that's all you really can do, right? Unless you want to jump in the game. Let's pretend you don't want to jump in the game. Well, you voted. Congratulations. That changed nothing. And I just realized that about people, that we have such little control, but we feel so good knowing that we know. Well, I know what this is because I believe this, and that's wrong because this says it's wrong, and, you know, culture tells me this, and whatever it is, you have all these things that tell you stuff. It's always external. The culture around you, the political sphere, the friend groups, I don't know, whatever the fuck else there are, your job, and everyone's telling you things. And you gather it all up, and then you take your opinion and you say, well, with all that information, I have this opinion. And in reality, you're in it still. You're self-serving that fucking thing. And my point is to say, like, take yourself out of being a human being for a little bit and ask yourself who you are as a person, who you are as a soul. Not who you are in this fucking material world, what job you have and what feelings you have and what aspirations and what goals and all this stuff. What's your political stance? You know, what do you think about abortions? You know, all that stupid fucking shit. Like, get away from that and be you. What do you think about yourself? What do you think about the journey that you're taking inward? What is the point of your life right now? Specifically to you, not to fucking everyone else. Not a lot of people are doing that. We just play the game, man. We just keep following along. You watch another ad that makes you mad because you don't like Trump, you know, or the other one, that woman, Kamala or whatever. You don't play that. But when you do, you don't think you are. You just think like, no, this is the right, this is the good, this is democracy, or this is the fucking Republicans or some shit. And it gives you meaning. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't. That's why no one ever feels satisfied in this world. And we want to say it's going to shit, but like, man, when wasn't it? You know how many times in human history we thought it was over? We're like, oh, it's over. Just because one thought idea was over, you know? The biggest one I can just throw off the top of my head is like the Roman Republic. Well, it's over. That's it. We're done. We're fucked. You know, the Middle Ages, how many times did they think they were fucked? During World War I, do you think that they thought, like, no, this is nothing? No, a lot of people probably thought the world was over. You saw those battlefields, you thought, fuck, this is it. This is the end of the fucking world. We are fighting. The world is in conflict. And so it's like, I keep that shit in mind and say, like, we're at an end, huh? An end of what? Of you? What does that mean? You're at an end? Or the ideas all built around you are at an end? All the things that you believed in, all the things that you put your back into, your stupid fucking job that you've been busting your ass at, this country that doesn't give a flying fuck about you, your neighbors that you annoy because you're fucking mowing your lawn a little too late or something. You know, like, that's over? Well, now I can't go to the grocery store and buy overpriced fucking food made in a goddamn factory by people that hate their jobs. Well, that sucks. Now I can't, like, life's over. I can't go to McDonald's and get food on demand by more people that are being overpaid, as they say. Even though they're slaving away in those 100-degree kitchens for your dumb ass so you can eat your goddamn McGriddle. And like, that's over. Yeah, I know. That's so bad that all this is at an end. My fucking house, $200,000 I paid for it. And it's all over. All that money that made you so happy. Like, that's what's over. Illusions. And I think that's a lot of the times what people will forget. We have a tendency to believe that, like, we are the world around us. And in some way we are. Because whatever we put into it, it allows it to be. It's a thought form idea. It's the idea of a viewpoint. If I'm looking at something negatively, I'm only going to see it negatively. If I look at something positively, I'm going to see it always positively. And anything that allows itself into the sphere of what my belief systems are, I can easily deter it. Because I don't believe in that, I'm not a Democrat. I don't believe in that, I'm for gay rights or whatever, you know? Whatever the ideas are, the thought forms. The things that you need to believe or disbelieve. It's always laid out for you, isn't it? You're walking in a world that's full of ideas, man. Like, and all these other people made them. And so what are you doing in it? Listening? Watching more fucking Facebook videos, shorts or whatever, or the YouTube shorts or whatever the fuck people do. I think TikTok too. That's what you do? You go to your job, you watch a bunch of stupid ass fucking videos that mean nothing. And you're okay? Are you sure? Like, that's the stuff that you have to do, and I don't want to always come across as always an asshole, but this is the shit that I did to myself. I wouldn't ask anyone to do something I haven't asked myself. And sometimes facing shit and being honest with how stupid you are is the best way to get through it. When I had to have conversations in my mind about, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, this is what you're doing? This? That's it, huh? And again, the joke at the beginning of that last video where the guy's giving him grief for it. Like, that's because your ass is lazy and you'll just continue to do it until someone pushes you, you know? We get comfortable in our little ideas. My house is cozy. I don't need to go out in it. I do it too, you know? But I think it's super crucial to find self, because that's the fucking point of it. And going back to the beginning of this topic, it's being comfortable with that person. Not being comfortable with all the things you believe, like being comfortable with the person you are when you sit with no sound, like this. Are you okay with this silence? Are you okay with yourself in this silence? Are you okay with the thoughts that come back while you were distracting yourself for all that time? God knows how long. Are you okay with those? If not, you got a lot of thinking to do. It's insane to think that some people don't want to hear their inner self. Isn't it? Like, that's fucking you. It's not like that inner thing's coming from some alien spaceship out in there in the fucking atmosphere, and they somehow have such a game with us that they want to manipulate each individual fucking billion of people. I don't even know how many billion there are on this planet anymore. That's what they're doing. This is all a simulation, and then that's that. Like, are you fucking kidding me, man? No. You gotta stop with that shit. Like, you gotta realize who you are. There's nothing wrong with talking to yourself a little bit. And if you're afraid to do that, well, then think. Use your brain and just hear your voice in there and talk to yourself. Sometimes you'd be surprised at what you might find. And the reason I say this with a surety is because every time I fucking talk to people in their negative state, let's say, they're having a bad time, all right? Doesn't matter who they are. This has just been my experience my whole ass life. They'll melt it out just fine. They'll tell you, I don't like this, and this person's manipulating me, and that's going on, and this and that and this and that. And I always listen, and I go, indeed. And then when they're done, they always feel a little bit better. They always do. Like, oh, that was good. I got you vent. And they think that's it. It's just a releasing of the valve. That's all it is. When you just let it out, and now it's gone. And I always challenge, like, as they're doing it, as I've gotten older, I'm like, why do you think that is? Why do you think that person's gaslighting you? Why do you blah, blah, blah? And I'm making them fucking try to figure things out. And as they do, I always tell them, you gotta stop being a victim. You know, you can't keep doing this to yourself. It's super easy to be a victim. And I don't even know if there's a true way out of it. I think you always will accidentally fall back in it. And then eventually you'll figure it out again. And because I do. It's hard to not be a victim. It's a daily process for me. And I try my best to help those people see what they're doing, how they're thinking, and what's right and what's wrong about it, and what they can do with that information. You know what I mean? It's really easy to bitch. It's difficult to take that information and change yourself with it. That voice that's coming out of you, why do you feel better when you processed it? When you start telling me about your ex, or you start telling me about your job you hate, or whatever, why do you always feel a little bit better when you're done? You think, that's it, I let it out. And I'm like, you wrote it out, sure, but like, you need to read it now. Go read what you just said. Listen to your fucking self for a minute. I'm half tempted to fucking record people and play it back to them and say, that's you. What does that person sound like? And I think that would allow people to start realizing, like, oh shit, I have to start making some changes in my fucking life. It's not easy. It really isn't. But at the end of the day, as we go back to the beginning of this video, it's about being comfortable with that person. And in my life, I'm becoming more comfortable with the way I express myself and the way I feel. And the way I interpret information. Or vice versa, the information interprets me when it's a thought form. So that's something that I've been working on. And that's something I try to show in these videos. Someone going through self. And that's the best thing you can do for you. I mean, you could hear me all day, but it don't mean damn shit when you're alone in your room. Or wherever you are. But anyway, I guess we'll cut it from here. I don't really see any more point in nagging on this shit. I get a little bit like, I give a fuck, so I kind of get a little animated about it, or I get a little irritated. It might come across as ornery. But it's because I get irritated when I hear people pretend that they're not capable of bettering themselves. I just get irritated at that shit. Like, I need medication, I need like that. Like, no you fucking don't, man. It just pisses me off. I would never talk this way in front of a person. I would do it respectfully. This is just a new outlet that I can be my real self, you know? And I don't ever want to get in someone's fucking face about stuff, so I'll do it on here, but like, in real life when I talk to people, it's much more passive. just to allow them to have the control of the conversation so that they just feel safe, you know. And you can interject things quietly, you know, whatever you think they might need. But generally, you can't say. Only they can. So you tell them to tell themselves what they need in some way. I don't know how to explain it better than that. But anyway, what should I call this video? Trust in self.